Hello, welcome to another walk in the Spirit. Come with me as we have another walk. This is kind of a new location. I have been here before, but only in extra footage. This is the end of the bike trail, the far end, and I explored this area in an extra footage, but never made it here in a walk in the Spirit. So let's try out this path. This is probably the busiest path in all hiking trails I've done. So I've been waiting to come here in a day when it would not be so busy. As you can see, there's snow on the ground. So winter is here in northeast Wisconsin. My first walk in the Spirit with snow on the ground. And it's a very beautiful place. A lot of people come here, so I didn't want to come here during a busy time. Check out the river down here. Again, this is a very beautiful place. That's why it's busy. It's the very end of the bike trail. So my first walk in the Spirit with snow on the ground. So it's a little cold. I decided to get myself one of these ear muffs instead of wearing a hat. It's hard for me to hear, but I don't need to hear, right? You just need to hear me. So I've been talking with Kevin again some more on the phone and video calls, and we had a discussion earlier, and he asked, well, what if there's going to be a delay in the rapture? And we had a conversation on that. So I actually want to turn that into a video, because I know a lot of people, well, I won't say a lot, but there are some people out there thinking there might be another delay in the rapture. Now, I'm not going to say a delay in the tribulation or a delay in other things, but that could be in consideration as well. And I'm also not specifically talking about delay in the rapture because there is no pre-tribulation rapture. I'm not going to discuss that here. I already discuss and make strong evidence of a pre-tribulation rapture in another video, and you can find that video here, pre-tribulation rapture video I made. Okay? So I'm not talking about that kind of delay. I'm also not talking about delay because we are not even close to being in the end times. And I have several videos on that. I'll point to my shortest one. I think it's in my series, in 7 minutes or less, Are We in the End Times? And you can see that video here where I discuss that. So it's not for those two reasons I'm talking about a possible delay, but simply believing that the Lord is going to give us more time to preach the gospel. Also, there's one other thing people might consider in a delay, and that is a coming revival. And again, I did a video on that. Is there a coming revival, or is judgment coming? And you can see my video on that here. I see there's an interesting trail here. It was probably back there and I missed it, and I wanted to take it. Oh well. You know what? I'm going to take it anyways. So what if I have to backtrack? Let's take this little trail, even though we're going backwards. We'll talk a little bit about this, a coming possible revival, or some people call it the latter rain. And it's beautiful here, isn't it? Isn't it beautiful here? Let's do a spin. It is windy out here, so I have my shorter selfie stick. Wind is like 30, 35 miles an hour. But I'm in the woods, it'll be less. But still, I have my shorty selfie stick, and I do have the windscreen on. It's beautiful here in the woods with the snow. And, okay, so I do believe in a coming pouring out of the Spirit, a coming latter rain, a coming revival. But this doesn't happen until after the rapture. Now, some may ask, is it going to happen before the tribulation. See, we don't know we know what the tribulation, well, I preach that the tribulation comes when the Antichrist confirms a deal with Israel. The tribulation does not start with the rapture. There's a time period between the rapture and the signing of that deal. And that time period is still part of the beginning of sorrows, which we are in now. I'll talk a little bit about the beginning of sorrows later. Let's not slip in the snow into the river. That would be devastating. This is nice though, huh? Isn't this beautiful, folks? This might be one of my most beautiful walk in the spirits, because this is a beautiful area, and with the snow it just makes it more interesting. But I believe the latter rain comes after the rapture and comes at the end of the Ezekiel 38 war. And it's because of the Ezekiel 38 war that the Antichrist is going to show up on the scene and confirm the peace treaties that Israel already has and increase them. So the revival actually may start before the tribulation, barely before, but definitely after the rapture. So please see my other videos on that. So I'm not talking about that. I'm simply going to discuss today, is there going to be a delay in the rapture? To give my quick, short answer, I doubt it. The Lord can do what He wants. He has to stay faithful to His word. Has He given a word saying when the rapture is supposed to be at a certain time? I don't believe He has. So He could delay it if He hasn't given a word concerning it. And it's not for me to make such decisions. It's for the Father. Now, the question is, has the Father or the Lord given such a word? I believe He has given a soft word. What do I mean by that? You know, stores, when they open, they have like a soft opening and then they have a grand opening. We are in, as I described, we are in what's called the beginning of sorrows. That started September 23rd or 24th of 2017. And I do have a video on that. I'm not going to do the teaching here, but I will be discussing it briefly, and you can see that video here. The beginning of sorrows revisited. I made a really early video on it, and then I made a better one like 9 months later of better quality. So that's the one I'm linking to. Watch that one for more. The beginning of sorrows is a time period. It's a transition. I'm not doing a full teaching, okay? So please see that. I'm just going to briefly discuss it, okay? Because it ties into why I believe there will not be a delay. The beginning of sorrows is a transitional period. When Jesus was on the earth, it was a transitional period from the Old Testament to the New Testament, okay? There was a transitional period there when Jesus was on the earth. And we are in another transitional period. I'm going to go in this little trail here. We're in another transitional period, changing from the church age, or called the age of the Gentiles, or the age of grace. And we're going into that soon coming tribulation where God deals with Israel once again. But before that happens, we are in that transition between those two times. This is why churches are shutting down. Well, I should say, I mean, the world has another reason. They're trying to use the virus, but God is allowing it because the church age is ending. People are fighting against it, but if it's God ordained, why is this happening worldwide? And if you were watching the news when the pandemic started, it wasn't churches that were shutting down, it was mosques. And a lot of the Muslims, you know, the radicals, refused it and were like breaking into their mosques even though they were closed down due to the pandemic. And then synagogues as well. So this is a worldwide phenomenon where all places of worship are closing down. That's because we're coming to the end of the church age. Well, what does that have to do with Muslims and mosques? Well, there is a coming world religion brought about by the false prophet called Mystery Babylon. I've already linked to a lot of videos. I didn't lose track, I think. I lost track, I think. I think I've linked to 4. I probably have room, but you can see Mystery Babylon here if I have room. Otherwise, you'll find it down below. So we are in this transitional period. And it is called the beginning of sorrows, which is some more beautiful scenery of the river. It's just beautiful. Let's just do a spin. The beginning of sorrows terminology comes from a woman being pregnant. And it's the beginning of the labor pains. We who are ready will not endure the labor pains, but only the beginnings of it. Again, see my Pre-Tribulation Rapture where I discuss that specific detail there. As you see, I'm going to be staying off the main trail whenever I can take these little paths. As long as it's safe and I don't fall into a ravine or the river, I'm good. So, that's why I say we have a soft word from the Lord concerning the timing. We are in the beginning of sorrows. It has started. The clock has started ticking. Can God lengthen the beginning of sorrows? Absolutely, he could. Would it be natural to lengthen it? No, it would not. Now, the beginning of sorrows is in Matthew 24. I think it's like verses 5 through 8. Again, see my beginning of sorrows video for all those scriptures. You know what? I'll go ahead and post them. There's like 4 or 5 scriptures on the screen. A brief stop to look at the scenery again before I post more of those verses. I want to stop walking. Yeah, I will. I'll stop walking so you can see those verses. All right, that should be enough. Now, one of those signs during the beginning of sorrows is pestilences, is which we are talking about. If you look up what that word means, it could also mean diseases, pandemic. We are in that pandemic prophesied in Matthew 24 concerning the beginning of sorrows. Now, I've taken that main path before, as I shared in an extra footage video. I'll link to it down below if you want to see what it was like during summer. But I didn't take some of these side paths, and we're seeing a little interesting boardwalk up ahead, which I have not walked on because I've never took this side path. So the pandemic is part of the sign of the beginning of sorrows. And this is one of the bigger reasons why I believe there won't be a delay. As it also says in those verses, and I made a whole video on it. In that verse, in there that I shared, one of them, it says, Jesus said, "Do not be troubled." We are in the beginning of sorrows, but we're not seeing the wrath of God. We're not seeing the judgment upon the earth, just the beginnings of it. And that's why Jesus says, "Do not be troubled." Okay? It's not like we're not going to face obstacles and problems. We have that even before the beginning of sorrow. There's death in this world. And Jesus, said, I do not call you out of this world, but I pray to the Father for you. Yes, I do believe that God will pull us out during the tribulation, and that is a different thing than the basic problems of sin nature in the world. We're talking about, Scripture says we will not face the wrath of God. It doesn't say we won't face troubles. We will. Alright, so I have a little fork in the road here. I think I will take this one next to the river. Oh, that one looked a little more interesting. Let's just do a spin. You see, we're going through this pandemic, and it's not a pleasant time. It's endurable. It's nothing to be troubled about. We can endure this. But is the Lord going to lengthen it and make us endure it longer? Again, I don't think He would do that. He could. And that's a big reason. But there's even a bigger reason why I believe there will not be a delay. And that is the vaccine, folks. The world, many in the world, are all excited about this vaccine, and many will take it without hesitation. Within the conservative camp, there are less people as enthusiastic about it. Within the Christian camp, there's even less enthusiastic about it. Although there are some conservatives and some Christians who are willing to take it. But many of us have doubts about it. I myself have done some research on this, and I did do a video where I discussed this. And somebody asked me below what I had to say about it, and I says, I'm not going to worry about it because Jesus said, do not be troubled. Well, the FDA just approved the first virus last night. It's coming to the United States. It's already being implemented, I think, in Canada and the United Kingdom. So it's hitting the earth. But I did my own study on it, and I'm still don't have enough knowledge. But I know about half, there's, I don't know, about 10, 12 immunizations for the virus that are coming out, and half of them use technology that came from aborted fetuses. Those I will not use, no matter what. The other ones, I don't know enough about. There is too much conspiracy out there, and I want more facts. So I'm not making a decision upon those until I get more. Amir from Behold Israel promised to be doing a video very soon concerning with doctors and scientists concerning the virus and what's in it and that kind of thing. Once I watch that and get more information and pray about it, then I will make a stronger determination. Okay. Is the vaccine troubling? I don't know. Some people are troubled by it. And as I said, I need to look into it further before I make my decision. But if the vaccine is troubling, then we're out of here, folks, because he said do not be troubled. And the things that come after he said that, he ends with, these are the beginning of sorrows, and the next thing after that is like the fifth seal, because he doesn't go through all the judgments. He only goes through part of them. The tribulation, okay? He doesn't go through the whole tribulation in Matthew 24. He only briefly discusses it. So after the beginning of sorrows, he jumps down to the persecution and the martyrdom of the church, or of the saints. Not the church. The church is gone. The tribulation saints. If there are harmful things in the virus, I'm saying if, I mean in the immunization, then that's troubling, okay? That's why I cannot give advice. YouTube does not want us giving advice on whether to take it or not. And I am undecided. I won't take one that has any science behind it from abortion. By the way, I'll put a link down below which immunizations for the virus, vaccines, uses science from aborted fetus tissue. You can find a link to that below, okay? I just don't know enough. If it is troubling, then the rapture is going to take place. The Lord will not submit his bride to that trouble. The vaccine is not the mark of the beast. It may be a precursor to it, but it is not it. The mark of the beast comes halfway through the tribulation. That's going to be 3.5 years after the tribulation starts. And we're not. I don't care who says we're in the tribulation. We are not. The Antichrist is not confirmed to deal with Israel. The rapture has not taken place. Therefore, the Antichrist can't even show up. That's in Thessalonians. So, the vaccine itself, to me, is a very strong aspect concerning where we are. Again, I don't know if it's trouble. It may not be. So, these are the reasons why I believe there will not be a delay in the rapture. Unlike other people, I was not one to say the rapture is going to happen on this day, the rapture is going to happen on this day. Some of those days I called high watch days as possibilities, but I've never, ever been adamant that the rapture was coming at a certain time. Until now. And even now, I'm not putting a date on it, but I believe that the rapture has to take place before Feast of Trumpets 2022, and more than likely before Feast of Trumpets 2021. And I've already discussed why in other videos. Briefly, again, that's going to be in that in 7 minutes or less, why we are in the last days. Let's do another spin here. And that is in Matthew 24, Jesus says that the generation that sees the fig tree come forth will also be the one who sees him at his second coming. And that's at the end of the tribulation. It's beautiful with all the snow, isn't it? Beautiful, beautiful. You minus 7 years from the second coming, and you get the beginning of the tribulation. and very close to the rapture. And I believe it was May 1948 that Israel was established. You do the math, we're nearly at 73 years. So minus that 7 from the 80, you get the 73 years, and that's pointing us towards an imminent rapture. Again, if we understand scriptures properly, and that's why I've said this before. Okay. So, again, I don't want to go over all the details why I believe it's imminent. I briefly said why. I've shared the reasons why I believe the Lord will not delay the rapture. Can he? Yes. Will he? Maybe, but I doubt it. He has not said it must come at a certain date or time. Now, I believe it has to come before a certain time, if I understand prophecy correctly. That's why I've said this in previous videos. If that day comes and 80 years goes by, or 73, then I misunderstood it. If 80 years goes by and he hasn't come, then I misunderstood it, okay? I'm not going to be one that's hard and fast and say I know God's word and God's ways completely full of understanding. I don't. Paul says we see through a glass darkly. I'll put that verse on the screen. I'm next to a road. I have no idea where I ended up. Oh, I know where I am. In that extra footage, I came to that starting point where I started today, and then I walked down this road to the park down there where I was parked, and I saw this gate. So, I'm on the other side of that gate. Let's get away from the road, from the traffic, and head this way. All right, let's do another spin here. And folks, I think that's really all I got to share today, okay? It's a beautiful snow-covered day in northeast Wisconsin. I hope you enjoyed the beauty of this. I'm excited to check it out myself after post-production and see how this turned out. I don't know when the rapture is going to happen, folks. I believe I know when it has to happen before, but I can't be one to say, this is the way it is. I can't do that. I don't have that authority. No man does. If Paul said we see darkly, how can I profess to know more than him? I can't. But Scripture does tell us in the end times, and I've shared those verses before. Where is it in? It's in Jeremiah or something. I'll post them on the screen. I can't remember. Or Daniel, might be in Daniel, where Daniel was given to understand that when the end times come, we'll have more understanding of these things. So the closer and closer we get to the rapture and the tribulation, the more we'll understand these things. All right, folks, that's going to end this walk in the Spirit. I'm going to continue walking down this path till I get to that park up there. About a half an hour, my wife will pick me up, so I'll have some extra footage in my hiking videos, and you can look for a link below, because I've linked too many in the video right now, if you want to see that. And that'll be up a few days after this video. All right, folks, I hope this video has blessed you. Get your hearts ready so that when he does come, you'll be ready and you can be out of here. We'll talk to you again soon, folks. Lord willing, if we're not raptured. God bless. Bye-bye.